Jeffrey, I want to continue our conversation for a little bit.
Sounds good.
We talked. I'm fascinated by the Jovian moons. I mean, anybody who's actually looked at the photographs, it's like every one is a completely different world from the other one. They don't even look related. They don't even look like they're in the same solar system. And Europa is really fascinating. That really, to me, seems like one of the better bets to look for life. Describe what Europa's like.
Well, from the surface, Europa is just a big ice ball, basically.
But that's interesting in and of itself. I mean, you don't see too many ice balls like that.
Well, actually, the outer solar system is filled with ice balls. Ice is a very common ingredient of the solar system. And almost all the outer solar system moons, as well as comets and even distant asteroids, are made with large quantities of ice. So the fact that we see the ice is not that surprising. What is surprising with Europa is that the ice doesn't have many craters on it.
No, it looks like a cue ball.
That's right. It tells us that something's been going on Europa that covers up craters that may have formed in the past when things hit. So Europa seems to have something odd going on the surface, and from more detailed studies, what we think is going on is that under a crust of perhaps 10 or more miles of solid ice, we think there's a deep ocean of liquid water around the entire moon. And if that's correct, and I would say right now we're sort of at the 95 to 99% level of confidence that that is correct, then there's actually about 2 to 3 times as much ocean water on Europa as there is on Earth.
But the big difference would be there's no sunlight that's going to be filtering down through all that ice, right?
That's correct. But we think that life on Earth most likely arose in the deep oceans around things like these black smokers that we have at the ocean bottom on Earth. And even if that's not where life arose on Earth, we certainly know that life thrives there, and these are places where no sunlight is reaching down on Earth either.
It also looks like on Europa there are cracks where, is it possible that this water is actually coming up to the surface, at least momentarily?
That's what we think must be happening, that somehow the water occasionally breaks through, spills out, refreezes, and causes these odd features that we see all around Europa.
Now, the other interesting possibility is Titan. Now, Titan, we've actually landed on Titan and gotten some amazing, if sort of slightly blurry or foggy photographs back from. But I'm of the thing. Any photograph from landing on a moon that far away, that's an amazing. I mean, that's just an incredible technological feat in and of itself. But what's Titan like?
Well, Titan does appear to have liquids that are shaping its surface, much like liquids shape Earth's surface. We see things that look like lakes, rivers, all sorts of things on Titan. The difference there is that the temperature is so cold that it can't possibly be liquid water. It has to be liquid methane, something like that. And so that's what we think is going on Titan. So as far as life on the surface of Titan goes, it would have to be based on using liquid methane or ethane as its medium rather than liquid water, which certainly is conceivable that that's the case. But an interesting thing is that Titan might even have liquid water if you go underground deep enough.
Now, I just want to end by talking about at the end of the book, you talk about there were 3 possibilities about life in the universe. And in each one, if it's true, has really startling implications for the way we view ourselves and our civilization. And let's talk about each one in turn. One of them is that we're alone. That's it. This is it. What would that mean to humanity?
Well, I think, first of all, my own opinion is that one is extremely unlikely, because when you just consider how many stars there are out there, the idea that we're the only one seems a stretch. But if it were true, essentially to me that would mean that the universe has spent the last 14 billion years going through all its machinations of whatever it does to build stars and build planets. And in one place, in this entire universe, in this entire 14 billion years, the universe has just, in the last few thousand years, thanks to us, discovered that the universe exists. So we are the universe's self-awareness. So in that case, if we destroy ourselves, it would mean basically wrecking something that the universe spent 14 billion years making.
It also seems like an awful waste of space.
And an awful waste of space, as Carl Sagan said, yes.
Now, the second possibility, which is interesting, and it's complicated and subtle, civilizations are common, but no one has colonized the galaxy. What do you mean?
Well, it's also possible that there's lots of civilizations out there, but the reason we don't have any actual contact with them that we can verify, as opposed to the UFO reports, is because it's because they're not coming. And if they're not coming, then you have to ask, why are they not coming here? And, you can always hypothesize things like, well, they just don't feel like it.
They've got better things to do.
They've got better things to do, right? But if we assume, one of the general assumptions we make is that there's nothing particularly special or unique about our spot in the universe.
Yeah, we're way on the rim. We're at like the dustbin of the galaxy there.
But it's a very common place in the galaxy.
It's a burb. It's a burb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, it's just a typical place. And so if we're just typical, then you would expect other civilizations that arise on other worlds to think, at least somewhat similarly to the way we think. So the fact that we like to go out and explore things means we should expect others to want to go out and explore things. And even if there's a few civilizations that think differently, we wouldn't expect them all to think differently. So someone should have gone out and been exploring over the last several billion years that civilizations should in principle have been arising in the galaxy. So if none of them have come out and explored, you sort of get led, unfortunately, to the conclusion that the reason is because they destroy themselves before they get the technology to do that exploration.
Carl Sagan talked about that.
And that's a very sobering possibility because we know that we're in a position where we could set the stage for our descendants to be traveling among the stars, but we could also destroy ourselves before we allow anyone in the future to do that.
Is it also just possible, and I'm not trying to be flip, that just our galaxy, and we're talking about our one galaxy as opposed to all the huge number of other galaxies that are in the universe, is so large that the odds, even if the civilizations are exploring, what are the odds that they would come here?
It's a time issue. Even if the odds of them choosing this place first are extremely small, which they are, if they keep choosing, one place every 1,000 years, for example, then in 1,000,000 years they've chosen 1,000 places, and in 1,000,000,000 years they've chosen 1,000,000 places. And if you have a few more civilizations doing that, they're going to hit this place eventually. There's been plenty of time.
The third possibility, and I love this idea, that there is a galactic civilization. What do you mean by that?
Well, actually, the best visualizations of this have been in some great science fiction stories and movies, and in particular, Contact by Carl Sagan and Arthur C. Clarke's books, Childhood's End and 2001: A Space Odyssey. They've imagined that there is this incredible civilization that's out there that's so technologically advanced that, as Arthur C. Clarke used to say, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So they would seem that way to us. But it seems quite reasonable to me to imagine that type of civilization already exists. And in that case, if we don't destroy ourselves, it's only a matter of time until we find out about them or they choose to contact us, which is just an absolutely astonishing thought. That we are, it's basically like we're the baby being born, and you're just you and maybe your parents, and all of a sudden you find out there's a whole world out there that you didn't know about. And that's where we would be headed.
I have actually talked to astronomers and astrophysicists who offline, not publicly, don't want us to participate in programs like SETI because, and I found this fascinating, they don't want to alert other advanced civilizations to our presence because there's a feeling is that it actually behooves the other civilizations to wipe us out first. Have you heard that idea?
Well, I've heard that idea plenty of times, but I have not heard it from any scientists.
I've actually got it from astronomers, but they won't say it publicly. They'll just sort of and I won't mention names.
Well, I think my point of view on that is you can believe whatever you want, but the cat's out of the bag. Our radio and television broadcasts are going out into space well ahead of anything we might deliberately do. And even though we don't have powerful enough radio detectors to detect something like our own TV broadcasts from another star, a much more advanced, anybody who's smart enough and advanced enough technologically to travel here and wipe us out is also capable of watching our TV and radio shows long before they see anything that we send deliberately to them. And so if they're looking for an excuse to wipe us out, they've already got it. So I don't think anything else we do is
Are you actually saying that our TV programming is reason to wipe us out?
It could be. I mean, if that
I'll tell you, I would not blame them.
Cause of the demise.
Looking at reality show-based TV, I think it would be a great... Jeffrey, it's been a real pleasure. My guest tonight has been Jeffrey Bennett, astrophysicist, author, and educator. His latest book, and it's a solid science book that I would recommend to everybody who wants to sort of get a deeper understanding of this issue. Beyond UFOs, The Search for Extraterrestrial Life and Its Astonishing Implications for Our Future. Jeffrey, it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it.
You're listening to WICN 90.5 FM. This is Inquiry. My name is Mark Lynch. Good night.